flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. 'Tis mine, and I will have it. If you deny me, fie upon your law. There is no force in the decrees of Venice. I stand for judgment. Answer, shall I have it? Shylock. Shylock, we got some lights. Oh dear. There we go. Shylock. Next cue, please. Go with the next cue. Why not? Next cue. We've had some technical problems here, I can tell you. Oh dear. Cue 5 on stage, please. We are loving the computers in this place. Ah, hello. This is cue 4. General lighting state. Let's see what happens. Oh, dear me. Go with cue 5 on stage. Anyway, Shylock. Shylock, the man who came in yelling and shouting. No, not me, him. I'm his friend. I'm his best friend. Actually, I'm his only friend. I'm Tubal. I'm Tubal. I played Tubal in The Merchant of Venice. Tubal? T-U-B-A-L? Actually, it's not a very big part. It's only one scene. Actually, it's only half a scene. I come in halfway through somebody else's scene. 8 lines. My contribution, 1 scene, 8 lines. But it's a great scene for Shylock. But he couldn't do it without Tubal. Tubal is crucial to the scene, to Shylock, to the play. Okay, mention The Merchant of Venice to anyone? Ah, Shylock the Jew. Famous Jews. Abraham, Moses, Barbara Streisand, Woody Allen, the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, Shylock. He's even become a noun. Do you know that's only happened to one other Shakespeare character? A Romeo, a Shylock. Of course, it's Shylock that people remember. But I do have some status in the play, some status among the Jewish community anyway. I'm the only other Jewish man in the play. The first time you hear my name, Shylock refers to me as Tubal, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe. And my relationship with him is unique. I'm the only person in the play who likes him. Shakespeare realized, you see, that Shylock had to have one ally, so he creates Tubal. And Tubal is entirely Shakespeare's creation, an original, unlike Shylock, or the plot of The Merchant of Venice, which he pinched, like he pinched the plots of most of his plays. The original is a 14th century Italian fairy story called Il Pecorone. Il Pecorone, it means the simpleton. I'm going to stay in this light because it's dark everywhere else. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young lady who lived in Belmont. She is looking for a husband. She auditions her suitors in bed. It says here she was a lady. Any man who can last the whole night with her wins her hand. Well, as he's already had the rest of her, you can bet what he's really after is her fortune. And for those men who can't stay the course, she gets to keep their fortunes. She cheats, though. She drugs their bedtime drinks. Our hero comes along, tries his luck with her, twice. Each time he ends up with a hangover, she ends up with his shekels. After the second attempt, he is so broke, he has to borrow money from his godfather to make a third attempt. Godfather, in turn, borrows money from a rich Jew and pledges in return, yes, a pound of his own flesh. Meanwhile, back in Belmont, the lovers are having such a good time, now that they've forgotten about the sleeping potion, that they forget about the debt until it's too late. The Jew refuses their money. He wants his pound of flesh. The case comes to court. Our heroine, disguised as a lawyer, argues that yes, he can have his pound of flesh, but in cutting it off, he must not shed one drop of blood. Thwarted, the Jew tears up his bond in disgust, and the lovers go back to doing what they do best, Now, it is almost the same story as The Merchant of Venice, but there's far more sex in it. And in The Merchant of Venice, Portia, our heroine, gives Bassanio, our hero, a ring, a betrothal ring, which he swears never to part from, lose, or give away. Unlike The Merchant of Venice, the rich Jew in Il Pecorone isn't even given a name. It's a bit part. Yes, all right, a bit like Tubal. Then along comes Shakespeare. Shakespeare and his imagination, and he creates Tubal and Shylock. He creates us out of his imagination. Well, he has to. Shakespeare has never even met a Jew. Not officially. Not anybody that would admit to it anyway. There are no Jews living in England when Shakespeare writes The Merchant of Venice. Jews are banned. All Jews had been expelled from England some 300 years earlier. Now, there had been Jews living in England since Roman times. We even get a mention in the Doomsday Book. Jews are useful for lending money. Money lending is forbidden to Christians in the Bible, so they let us Jews do it and despise us for it. Some Jews make huge fortunes. We make enemies too, of course. 1190, city of York, just before Passover. Some citizens decide that the Jewish community is becoming too rich and powerful. Led by a man called Richard the Malabese, who is up to his ears in debt to Jewish money lenders, the crowd start pillaging and setting fire to Jewish homes. We Jews flee to take refuge in York Castle, but are pursued there and besieged for days. Eventually, we are given an option: to die or to convert to Christianity. Most of us believe it would be more honorable to die, so we burn our possessions. We cut the throats of our wives and children. We kill ourselves. At dawn the next day, what's left of the Jewish community emerge to take up Malabese's offer of Christian baptism and to save our lives. As we step out, blinking into the sunlight, we are all butchered. Over the next 100 years, Jews are killed, burnt, beaten, until King Edward I comes up with his final solution to the Jewish question. How do you get rid of an unpopular minority? Well, you just tell him to get out. To be fair, he does give us 3 months' notice. Any Jew remaining in England after All Saints' Day, 1290, can be killed. Well, to be fair, there are only a few thousand of us left anyway, so we pack our belongings and we cross the English Channel. But the expulsion idea catches on. First England, then France, then Spain, then Portugal. Venice is one of the last places in Western Europe where Jews are tolerated. So long as we stick to the ghetto. The ghetto. That's where the word ghetto comes from. Venice. The ghetto nuovo, of course. High walls, gates, guards, dusk to dawn curfew. It keeps Christians and Jews apart, but close enough to carry on business together. The business of lending and borrowing money. Usury. Do you know, Shakespeare never mentions the word ghetto. Not once, not in any of his works. Perhaps he doesn't know about it. Perhaps he doesn't know much about Venice. Geography is not his strong point. This is the man that gives Bohemia a coastline. Small Latin, less Greek, no geography. So I wonder how Shakespeare knows that Italian Jews in Venice are outnumbered by German Jews, Germanic Jews from north of the Alps, the Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim are experts at the money lending, like Shylock and me. You can hear it in the way Shylock speaks sometimes. He struggles to find a word. He puts his sentences together a little oddly. You can tell he's not speaking his first language. It's not so obvious with Tubal, of course. Probably because I've only got 8 lines. Shakespeare deliberately gives me only 8 lines. He sees Tubal, I think, as a strong, silent type. Look, okay. I've only got 8 lines because those are the only 8 lines in the scenes in which I speak. But, you know, these stage directions, they are notoriously unreliable. Written down after Shakespeare's dead. He's not around to tell them that perhaps he wants Tubal there all the time. A strong, silent presence. I mean, I'm sure I'm there the first time we meet Shylock. Okay. Bassanio, a young lover, needs money to go to Belmont to woo the Lady Portia. He asks his friend Antonio, the merchant of the title, for a loan, but Antonio's a little strapped for cash. So he advises Bassanio to arrange a meeting with Shylock, the Jewish moneylender, on the Rialto. Now, I am Shylock's friend, of course, his best friend. All right, I'm his only friend. So I am there to give Shylock a little bit of moral support. He just doesn't let me get a word in. I just stand there. We meet Bassanio just a short distance from the Rialto. 3,000 ducats. Well, for 3 months. Well, Antonio shall become bound. Well, 3,000 ducats for 3 months and Antonio bound. Antonio is a good man. My meaning in saying is that he is a good man is to have you understand me, that he is sufficient. Yet his means are in supposition. He hath an argosy bound to Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand, moreover, in the Rialto, he hath a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he hath squandered abroad. But ships are but board, sailors but men, there be land rats and water thieves and land thieves, pirates. Then there be the perils of waters, wind, and rocks. The man is notwithstanding sufficient. 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his bond. What news in the Rialto? Here comes Signor Antonio. How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he is a Christian, but more for that in low simplicity he lends out money gratis and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice. If I can catch him once upon the hip, I'll feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he rails, even there where merchants most do congregate, on me, my bargains, and my well-won thrift, which he calls interest. Cursed be our tribe if I forgive him. I am debating of my present store, and by the near guess of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross of full 3,000 ducats. What of that? Tubal, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, will furnish me. But hear you, methought you said you neither lend nor borrow upon advantage. Shylock can't resist that, reminding Antonio that he never borrows money from usurers. All he gets from Antonio is a mouthful of abuse. But Shylock's got the upper hand. Shylock's the one with the money. Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto you have rated me about my monies and my usances. Still have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. Go to, then you come to me and you say, Shylock, we would have monies. You say so. You that did void your room upon my beard, and foot me as you'd spurn a stranger cur over your threshold. Monies is your suit. What should I say to you? Should I not say, hath a dog money? Is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or should I bend low, and in a bondsman's key, with bated breath and whispering humbleness, say this: Fair sir, you spat on me on Wednesday last, you spurned me such a day, another time you called me dog, and for these courtesies will I lend you thus much monies. That is too much for Antonio. Loses his temper, threatens to kick and spit at Shylock again. Shylock loves provoking him, plays right into his hands. Why, look you how you storm. I would be friends with you and have you a love. Forget the shames that you have stained me with, supply your present wants, and take no doit of usance for my monies. No. Go with me to a notary. Seal me there you a single bond, and in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day in such a place, such sum or sums as are expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me. A joke. I think it's a joke. Antonio's as rich as Croesus. A few risky investments, okay, but unlike us Jews, he can diversify. 3,000 ducats is nothing to him. He agrees. Now, I offer to go with him to the notary, the local lawyer, to act as a witness. All of us smiling, all of us laughing. Even the notary's laughing. Usually you need to make an appointment to make a joke with one of them. And another thing, Shylock does not need me to help him raise the cash. Tubal, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, will furnish me. Bah. Business talk. Look, I wish he did ask me. I would turn him down. You see, at this point, I have no idea how bitter Shylock is. Not without reason, of course. Look, even here, even now, during this scene, whilst Antonio is asking Shylock for money, he's still calling him a devil, threatening him, spitting at him, laughing at him. Laughing at us. Comic figures. That's what we are. That is what is expected of Jews on stage. Comedy and villainy. Comic, not because we tell jokes, though let's face it, a few Jewish jokes might liven things up a bit. But comic because people enjoy laughing at us. To our first audience, Shakespeare's first audience, that's what we are. Comic villains! Oh, no. Don't blame Shakespeare. You can't blame Shakespeare. It's an old English tradition, like disemboweling heretics. A theatrical tradition, too. Those old medieval actors trundling about off the backs of wagons acting out scenes from the Bible, the Jews are always the baddies. Makes for some terrible overacting, I'm sorry. Jews are good box office, though. Now, Christopher Marlowe knows that. That's why he creates a character called the Jew of Malta. Oh, the Jew of Malta. Smash hit 10 years before Shakespeare even dreams of the Merchant of Venice. And what a part. Barabbas in the Jew of Malta. Oh, some props in this place. Recognize me. Listen to my words, and I will teach thee that will stick by thee. First, be thou void of these affections, compassion, love, vain hope, and heartless fear. Be moved at nothing, see thou pity none, but to thyself smile when the Christians moan. As for myself, I walk abroad at night and kill sick people groaning under walls. Sometimes I go about and poison wells. Being young, I studied physic and began to practice first among the Italians. There did I enrich the priests with burials. Then after that, I was an usurer, and with extorting, cozening, and tricks belonging to brokery, I filled the jails with bankrupts in a year, and with young orphans planted hospitals. God, I'd love to play Barabbas. It's a wonderful part. The man is a total monster. In trying to murder his own daughter, he gets to poison an entire nunnery. And what an exit. Much better than Shylock's. Falls into a vat of boiling oil. Not often done these days. What with the price of oil. But, oh, that Christopher Marlowe, you know, he's got it in for all religions. He's an atheist. I mean, it's not that the Christians and the Muslims in the play are any better people than the Jew. They're just not such good parts. Hey, do you know that the first actor to play Barabbas would have worn a huge hook nose, and this wig would have been ginger. Ginger because Judas's hair is supposed to have been ginger. Judas and Barabbas, two of the original Jewish baddies. Ah! Oh, there's the props. Both star in this book. Available from all good hotel bedrooms. Don't worry, they expect you to borrow them. Don't they? Gideon. Who is this Gideon? Sounds like a nice Jewish boy. What's he doing, giving away New Testaments? Matthew. My daughter asked me, how am I going to sit in that chair? I just found out. Now, it was the custom at the feast at the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. But do you know that's not in any Jewish or Christian history books, or Roman history books, that it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd? Huh? Only the Gospels. Now at that time there was a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. Now when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, which one do you... No. Which one do you want me to release it to you? Roman, you see? Which one do you want me to release it to you? Barabbas or a Jesus who is called the Christ? Pilate asked. The crowd answered, Barabbas! What shall I do then with the Jesus who is called the Christ? Pilate asked. The crowd answered, crucify him! Why? What a crime has he committed? Asked Pilate. But the crowd answered all the louder, crucify him! When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, he took water, washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am an innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility. All the people answered, let his blood be on us and on our children. Let his blood be on us and on our children. Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged, and then he handed him over to be crucified. There's 2,000 years of Jewish persecution based on that. The Romans, who really have the power, they seem to get out of it much easier. Well, you don't want to convert, you don't want to alienate them, do you? You want to convert them, which is exactly what they do. The Holy Roman Empire. Let his blood be on us and on our children. Shylock has a child, a daughter, Jessica. Shylock's a widower. His wife Leah died a few years earlier and left Shylock to bring up little Jessica on his own. Now I know I'm partial because I'm his friend, his best friend. But Shylock, he's a single parent from an ethnic minority. He's got a very stressful job and he lives in a ghetto. Of course he's strict. He has to be. Teenage daughter, very attractive, not an easy girl, hates being kept at home, thinks of her house as a kind of prison, thinks of her father as a tyrant. Now, it is a terrible night. Shylock has already turned down an invitation to have dinner with Antonio and his Christian friends. Well, he knows what they're like. He's afraid they'll serve him pork. Now, I have persuaded him to go. I think it might help improve relations a bit. They are doing business together, after all. I've even offered to escort him over there. Now, we're just about to leave when Shylock learns that there's going to be a mask party that night. A mask? Now, me? I'm dumbstruck. Can't say anything. I just stand there. Now, Venice is notorious for masks, noisy street parties, loud music, Christian boys getting drunk, throwing up. Worse, the best excuse for bad behavior in Venice is a mask. What? Are there masks? Hear you me, Jessica! Lock up my doors! And when you hear the drum and the vile squealing of the Rhine-neck fife, clamber not you up to my casements then, nor thrust your head into the public street to gaze on Christian fools with varnished faces, but stop my house's ears. I mean my casements. Let not the sound of shallow foppery enter my sober house. By Jacob's staff, I swear I have no mind of feasting forth tonight. I am bid forth to supper, Jessica. There are my keys. But wherefore should I go? I am not bid for love. They flatter me. But I will go in haste to feed upon the prodigal Christian. Jessica, my girl, look to my house. I am right loath to go. There is some ill brewing toward my rest, for I did dream of money bags tonight. But I will go. Well, Jessica, go in. Now, perhaps I will return immediately. Now, shut doors after you. Remember, fast bind, fast find. a product never stale in thrifty mind. And off we go, arm in arm. Now, it's always safer to leave the ghetto in pairs, just in case there are people hanging around outside waiting to do a bit of Jew baiting. And of course, you can't miss Shylock and me. Apart from anything else, we are wearing our Jew badges. Yes, they are compulsory. Of course, we hate wearing them. In Venice, we've become quite good at covering them up. A shawl over your gabardine, a scarf strategically wrapped around you. So what do? They make us wear yellow hats. Most people believe that it's the Nazis that introduced Jew badges. The Yellow Star of David. Way out. It's a European directive, some 800 years earlier. All Jews to wear distinctive badges. It's to stop interbreeding. For a Gentile to mate with a Jew, you see, is on a par with incest, sodomy, and bestiality. It also means we can't apply for undesignated jobs or move in next door. And this directive, it's from Rome, a Lateran council called by Pope Innocent III. Yes, Innocent. Well, they've got a sense of humor too. Now, it doesn't have to be a Yellow Star of David. No. This is Italy, you see. Venice, style, not just function. You can have a circle, a black circle within a white circle. Or you can have a black circle, half black, half white. Or you can have a sort of Ten Commandments motif. A pair of tablets, like gravestones, made of yellow felt. If I was a Jew living in England in the 12th century, that is the one I'd be wearing. If I'd survived. 1144, just before Easter, a cold, damp day walking through a wood near Norwich. What's that? It's a pile of leaves. Looks like some sort of grave. Shallow grave. There's a body here, all right? Oh, it's a little boy. It's little William, the Skinner's apprentice. Now, we'll never know how he dies. Hunger, disease, exposure. But rumors begin to spread that he is the victim of local Jews who've abducted him and on the second day of Passover, crucified him and used his blood to make matzah. Matzah. That's the unleavened bread we Jews eat at Passover. The little boy's body is carried away by the monks and given a proper burial. He becomes a holy martyr. Miracles are done in his name. Little William becomes Saint William. This is the beginning of the blood libel. The blood libel, the excuse for wholesale massacre of Jews. Jews kill children, they circumcise them, they crucify them, they use them in black magic, they drink their blood. The blood libel starts in England but doesn't stop there, spreads all over Europe, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, as far east as Serbia. Oh, the blood libel really takes root in Eastern Europe. Rumors of Christians being abducted at night and having the blood drained from their body by men who hate Christ. Nowadays, these legends are more closely associated with a place in Eastern Europe called Transylvania. Yes, Dracula. (1946). August 1946. Just 1 year after we'd learned about the Nazi death camps, officially. 40 Polish Jews are killed by Polish Christians because it is rumored that they have killed a young child and used his blood to make matzah. 1946. 40 Polish Jews. 1946. Drop in the ocean. That is enough real life. Let us get back to the theater. Tubal first utters his 8 immortal lines just over 400 years ago. Happy birthday, Tubal, happy birthday, Tubal. Okay, muzzle tov, Shylock. Of course, I have to pay other characters too. It isn't a big company. Almost everybody has to double up. Everybody, that is, except the leading man. Now, Shakespeare uses the same leading man for over 20 years. One Richard Burbage. And not just an actor. He owns a large part of the company. He is the governor. Can you imagine having scripts like that landing on your doormat every few months? Richard III, Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear. Me? Second murderer, third witch, old man, a lord, Tubble. Oh, yes, William, I'd be delighted to take a look at it. By the way, I understand you're writing something set in a wood on a midsummer night. I make an excellent donkey. Oh. The Merchant of Venice. Tubble. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The end. 8. They say when Shakespeare writes for Burbage, he knows that Burbage can handle 8 lines of blank verse on one breath. I'll show you. A Romeo. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as is the winged messenger of heaven, and to the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals who fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds. And sings upon the bosom of the air. Ah, Burbage, he cheats. He bends over in the middle when he's running out of breath. You've always got a little bit of air left in your lungs. A Romeo. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as the winged messenger of heaven, and to the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals who fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air. Richard Burbage, the first great actor, the first star. Oh, do you know, when Burbage first takes on The Merchant of Venice, he's only 39 years old. So, of course, he takes on the romantic lead, Bassanio. Of course, he's horrified to realize he's being upstaged by the character comic playing Shylock. I bet when they revive it, he makes a grab for the ginger wig and the hook nose. But what a team, eh? Shakespeare and Burbage, the magic triangle, playwright, actor, audience. Oh, but this is it. This is the moment you have all been waiting for. My scene. Okay. No. First, I'll update you with the plot. You can go back. First, while Shylock is away having dinner with Antonio and his Christian friends, his daughter Jessica is eloping with another Gentile, a lad called Lorenzo. Now, don't ask me how they met, all right? Now, one of the first things she does is to disguise herself by dressing up as a boy. This is always happening in Shakespeare, and his audiences love it, because they get a boy dressed up as a girl, dressed up as a boy. Whatever turns you on. But for a well-brought-up Jewish girl to put on men's clothes... Anyway, she does it. And then one of the first things she does, she starts to throw all of Shylock's most precious possessions to Lorenzo and his Christian mates in the streets below. They load themselves up with more of Shylock's cash, and off they go. Oh, that little schmuck Lorenzo. He abducts a minor. He marries her without parental consent, and he steals a fortune of cash and jewels. He should get 20 years. What does he get? He gets some of the best verse in the play. Anyway, Shylock returns home to find his most precious possessions, his daughter and his ducats, gone! Ah! Imagine his rage. Now, I know it doesn't say as much in the script, but the first person he turns to is Tubal. Wakes me up in the middle of the night, convinced those two kids have run off to Belmont with Bassanio. Bassanio, who he'd had dinner with only a few hours before. Bassanio had planned it to get him out of the way. It's a conspiracy. We go to wake up the Duke of Venice. He's pleased. And Shylock insists that we now go and search Bassanio's ship. But we're too late. It sailed for Belmont at first light. Oh, Shylock is now convinced. Well, it turns out that the kids had found another way out of the city. Typical of that lounge lizard Lorenzo. A gondola. I mean, have you got any idea the price of a gondola ride? And I bet he used Shylock shekels to pay for it. Now, Shylock is now convinced that the kids have run off to Genoa. So I offer to do anything to help. I am his friend. I'm his only friend. So off I go. Okay, he offers to pay for my trip, but have you any idea how far it is from Venice to Genoa? Well, I've checked. It's 200 miles. And I must have flown because I'm back almost as soon as I've gone. Shakespeare and geography, remember? But whilst I'm away, Shylock is making a complete meshuggah of himself, running about the streets, screaming about his daughter and his ducats, his diamonds and his daughter. Things get so bad the little street urchins are tearing after him. You stoned your daughter and your ducats! You stoned your daughter and your ducats! I'd have done more good to stay behind and watch over him. As it is, the news I come back with. Oh, but this is it. Okay. No, there's a bit I've forgotten. Come on. Right, Shylock is already on stage. He's arguing with some of Antonio's Christian friends. And when they see me, after a little bit more racial abuse, they make themselves scarce. Now, this may not be a long scene, but it is a crucial one. I have two vital pieces of information to impart. The good news and the bad news. The good news is that one of Antonio's ships has sunk upon the oceans and he is about to go broke. The bad news is that despite all my searching, I've still been unable to track down Jessica or Lorenzo or the loot that they took with them. Now, so on I come. And from the moment I come on, I can see that Shylock is on the edge. How do I balance the good news with the bad news? Huh? Well, it's a very close thing. Especially I have to return to Shylock a piece of his stolen property. So, on I come. All right. Now, it's a long journey, you remember, and I must have run the last bit, which explains why I'm out of breath. Okay. You know the thing that, you can go back with the lights. Thanks. The thing that I regret, and this is both as an actor and as Tubal, is that at the end of this scene, I have to leave Shylock alone on stage. No, really, apart from anything else, apart from giving Shylock a better exit than me, I do worry about leaving the man alone in that state. Okay. Tubal! What news from Genoa? Hast thou found my daughter? I often came where I did hear of her, but cannot find her. Why, sir, a diamond gone. Cost me 2,000 ducats in Frankfurt. The curse never fell upon our nation till now. I never felt it till now. 2,000 ducats in debt, and other precious jewels. I would my daughter were dead at my foot, and the ducats in her ear, which were hers at my foot, and the jewels in her coffin. No news of them. Why so? And I know not what spent in the search. Why, so loss upon loss, the thief gone with so much, and so much to find the thief. No sighs but of my breathing, no tears but of my shedding. Yes. Other men hath ill luck too. Antonio, as I heard in Genoa. What? Ill luck? Ill luck? Hath an argosy cast away, coming from Tripolis. I thank God. Is it true? Is it true? I spoke with one of the sailors that escaped the wreck. I am grateful for it, Jubal. Thank God. Heard in Genoa. Your daughter spent in Genoa, as I heard, one night, 80 ducats. Sticks a dagger in me, Jubal. I shall never see my gold again. 80 ducats at a sitting? 80 ducats? There came divers of Antonio's creditors in my company to Venice, who swear he cannot choose but break. I am very glad of it. I'll plague him. I'll torture him. I am glad of it. One of them showed me a ring he had of your daughter. For a monkey. Out upon her. Thou torturest me, Tubal. It was my turquoise. I had it of Leia when I was a bachelor. I would not have given it for a wilderness of monkeys. But Antonio is certainly undone. That is true. That is very true. Go, Tubal. Fee me an officer. Bespeak him a fortnight before. I will have the heart of him if he forfeit. For were he out of Venice, I can make what merchandise I will. Go, Tubal. Meet me at the synagogue. Go, good Tubal. At our synagogue, Tubal. Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? Fed with the same food, hurt by the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? If we are like you in the rest, we will resemble you in that. If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? Why? Revenge. The villainy you teach me, I will execute, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instruction. You remember, at the end of my scene, the Shylock instructed me to arrange for an officer to arrest Antonio when his time runs out. Well, after his arrest, Antonio and his jailer come looking for Shylock to try to reason with him. Well, I'd like to reason with him too, but I've already used up my 8 lines. I just stand there. None of us can get a word in edgeways. Jailer, look to him, Tell not me of mercy. This is the fool that lent out money gratis. Jailer, look to him. I'll have my bond. Speak not against my bond. I have sworn an oath that I will have my bond. Thou call'st me dog before thou hadst a cause, but since I am a dog, beware my fangs. The Duke shall grant me justice. I do wonder, thou naughty jailer, that thou art so fond to come abroad with him at his request. I'll have my bond. I will not hear thee speak. I'll have my bond, and therefore speak no more. I'll not be made a soft and dull-eyed fool to shake the head, relent and sigh, and yield to Christian intercessors. Follow not. I'll have no speaking. I will have my bond. Now, you know I complain about my 8 lines. But you know the poor jailer in this scene? He's got no lines at all. He gets mentioned 3 times and never utters. Who could you get to play a part like that? Huh? Who played it originally at the Globe? William Shakespeare! Come on, why not? He's an actor in the company. He's got enough on his plate without having to learn his own lines. It means he can be in the scene. Watch out for any overacting. Count the house, see what the takings are like. 1 groat, 2 groat, 3 groat, 4 groat. Wake up. or maybe Shakespeare's not that good an actor, not up to playing a bigger part, like Tubal. But whatever he plays, he'd play it at the court. When James I comes to the throne of England, the company changes its name to the King's Men. And 5 new theatres are built during James I's reign. The Merchant of Venice goes down a storm. The king sees it in 1605, twice, loves it. Not all his subjects are so keen, though. The Puritans. The Puritans. For them, theatre is the devil's work, and actors are his instruments. Theatres are denounced as Satan's synagogues. Well, that's the worst of both worlds. At first, we don't take them too seriously. We're even making fun of them in the plays. But then, an act of parliament to restrain the abuses of players. It gives the government the authority to censor the language we use on stage. There is no more profanities like heavens or God or zoons. I mean, what's a Shakespeare play without someone shouting out zoons now and again? So they were Bowdlerizing Shakespeare hundreds of years before Bowdler. Hey, did you know, I bet you didn't, that the Reverend Thomas Bowdler was, wait for it, a woman? Yes, the Reverend Thomas Bowdler was not Reverend Thomas Bowdler after all, but his sister Henrietta. Henrietta thought that it was indelicate for a lady to even know what the dirty bits mean. So she got her brother to stick his name on the book and go down in history as a ridiculous old fart. But things got far worse after Shakespeare and Burbage died, and I don't mean just for the plays or the acting. One Puritan, a man called William Prynne, got himself so worked up that he wrote a 1,000-page book on acting and theatre. He says that they kindle lusts in the spectators and encourage trumpets and pickpockets and corrupt the young. And he says that actors dressing up, particularly in women's clothing, are an abomination and in defiance of the scriptures. Prynne has some funny ideas about Jews as well. He says that we are heavily into cross-dressing for their ceremonies. There are other people who think that Jewish men breastfeed babies, or that Jewish men menstruate, and when we do, we lose so much blood that we have to go and kill a Christian to top ourselves up a bit. And there's a Spanish doctor who reckons he can prove that Jews have tails. So when you consider that Shakespeare may never even have met a Jew, officially, well then I think Shylock gets off quite lightly. But eventually, of course, they get their way. The Puritans, that is. Oliver Cromwell eventually declares theatre as immoral and makes it illegal. Okay, we all know that actors are used to being out of work. But 18 years? We have to wait until the Restoration before we can even audition again. On the plus side, Cromwell does relax the rules on Jews, allows us back into England. Not purely a generous gesture, I can tell you. He needs a little help with the housekeeping. After the Civil War, the economy is in tatters, and apparently Jews are pretty good with money. Apparently. Well, if it's all you're allowed to do for centuries, you're going to become pretty good at it, aren't you? And in any case, usury is only another word for banking. Ah! But where's Tubal, huh? Tubal? Juby? Juby. Oh no! He's disappeared! Yes! Tubal disappears from the English stage for 99 years. Yes, it's 99 years before my public gets another chance to hear my 8 lines. Some playwright by the name of William Granville decides that he can improve on Shakespeare and relaunches The Merchant of Venice as the Jew of Venice. Okay, it's better billing for Shylock, but you're not going to believe this. He cuts Tubal! How can Shylock be a rounded character? How can he express his anguish, share his grief, without Tubal there to pour it all out to? I have to make a comeback. And I do. Valentine's Day, 1741, and it's a triumph! My scene is greeted by a huge ovation. The Merchant of Venice is back on the map, all thanks to one man, a big, ugly, hard-drinking Irishman called Charles McLaughlin. Charlie Macklin of Donegal persuades the management of the Drury Lane Theatre to resurrect The Merchant of Venice as originally written by William Shakespeare, with myself as Shylock. He works and works on the part, researching Jewish history, imagining himself as the great Hebrew figures from the Old Testament. The result is terrifying. Macklin Shylock is a strong, vengeful, bright-eyed villain. Not all acting, of course. Macklin is a tough customer in real life, too. A few years earlier, he is convicted of manslaughter for stabbing another actor backstage while quarreling over a wig. But Macklin Shylock is so successful that he keeps it in his repertoire for the rest of his career, another 40 years. Approaching his 90th birthday, teeth all gone, so deaf he can hardly hear the prompter. Packed house, eager to see this phenomenon of the English stage. Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto you have rated me about my monies and my what? Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto you have rated me about my monies and my what? Oh, Signor Antonio, dear God, my memory has left me. Ladies and gentlemen, I have, within these very few hours, been struck by a terror of mind I have never in my life felt before. It has totally destroyed my mental and my corporal well-being. I must request your patience this night. A request an old man of 89 years may hope is not unreasonable. And Macklin leaves the stage for the last time. His understudy has to finish the performance. Probably Tubal. But what Macklin does is put Shylock firmly center stage, and that's where Shylock stays and has stayed ever since. The bruiser from Donegal becomes the most celebrated Jew in England. And the play is translated into over 20 languages. Tubal's 8 lines can now be heard in Armenian, Bengali, Chinese, Dutch, Estonian, Finnish, Greek, Hungarian, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Latvian, Maori, Norwegian, Ottoman, Poland, Quechua, Romanian, Swahili, Thai, Urdu, Vietnamese, Welsh, Siang, Yoruba, Zulu, French, Spanish, Italian, remember Burbage, German! The Germans have always been crazy about Shakespeare, and especially The Merchant of Venice. Hitler loved The Merchant of Venice. There, I've said it. The play can never be quite the same again. I say it again, Hitler loved The Merchant of Venice. He's not so keen on Othello, by the way. But throughout the 30s and the war, the Reich positively encouraged productions of it. And in Vienna, the Gauleiter of that particular cultural capital commands one. For him, any Jew active in Europe is a danger to European culture. Yes, Hitler loves the Merchant of Venice. He's not happy with the entire plot. There's a bit which bothers him. The bit where Jessica, the Jewish girl, runs off with Lorenzo, the Gentile boy, and they find bliss together in Belmont. But the Nazis have a solution. If you make Jessica Shylock's illegitimate daughter by a Christian mother, everybody knows the Jewishness is inherited through the female. Then Jessica's not really Jewish after all. And Lorenzo can save her by marrying her without polluting the bloodstock. Why can't people leave the play alone? Let it speak for itself. You don't like what it says? I don't like everything it says, but how can we have an opinion if the Reverend Dr. Mr. Mrs. Ms. Herr Bowdler get there before us? You, the audience, are the jury. The trial scene. Packed courtroom. Scent of blood in the air. Even before the trial starts, the Duke of Venice, who is in charge of the case, takes Antonio aside, sits him down. Antonio, I am sorry for thee. Thou art come to answer a stony adversary, an inhuman wretch, incapable of pity, void and empty of any dram of mercy. Is that partial or what? Then he summons Shylock into court, and before long, he's threatening him. Shylock is having none of it. The pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. 'Tis mine, and I will have it. If you deny me, fie upon your law. There is no force in the decrees of Venice. I stand for judgment. Answer. Shall I have it? Antonio gets the message, bares his chest, tells him to get it over and done with quick. Bassanio starts to panic and starts to offer Shylock 3 times the money. Shylock is now so cocky, he starts to sharpen his knife on his boot. Uproar! Great theatre, this trial scene, eh? Lousy law, but great theatre. And this is where it betrays its roots. Il Pecorone, a fairy story, indeed. What starts as a civil case about the simple repayment of an unpaid debt ends up with Shylock. That would be giving it away. And in any case, in a normal society, the case wouldn't even come to court. And anybody demanding a pound of flesh in repayment for an unpaid debt would be put into an asylum, psychoanalyzed. So, Mr. Shylock, tell me why it is you want to cut off Mr. Antonio's flesh. Is it personal? Or does he merely represent something? Is your insisting on taking his flesh merely an attempt to castrate him, to emasculate him? Or maybe you associate the cutting of flesh with circumcision? Now, what you really want to do is not to kill Mr. Antonio, but to symbolically, ritualistically remove that part of him which makes him different to you. You want, in fact, to bond with him, to make him more like yourself, or conversely, you more like him. You want, in fact, to become him. Ding! Meanwhile, back in the court, Shylock stops sharpening the knife on his boot. The Duke starts to panic and threatens to call the whole thing off unless a learned old boy arrives from Rome to furnish an opinion. But suddenly, there is an announcement that a young lawyer has appeared in place of this old boy, furnishing letters of introduction and a working knowledge of the case. Enter Portia, our heroine, disguised as a lawyer. Oh, there's something else I should tell you at this point. I never call Shylock Shylock. You'll remember during my scene, of course, you remember every word of my scene, but you remember during my scene that I never actually addressed him by name, did I? No. Shylock is the name the Christians call him. They're not willing to, or they can't be bothered, or maybe they can't get their teeth around his real name. It's an ancient name. It appears in the 1st chapter of Gideon's book. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shylock. Shylock lived 403 years. Shylock, an ancestor of Abraham. Is your name Shylock? Shylock is my name. Of a strange nature is this suit you follow, yet in such rule that the Venetian law cannot impugn you as you do proceed. Does he confess the bond? He does. Then must the Jew be merciful? On what compulsion must I? Tell me that. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. His sceptre shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself, and earthly power doth then show likest God's when mercy seasons justice. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea, which, if thou follow, this strict court of Venice must needs give sentence against the merchant there. My deeds upon my head, I crave the law, the penalty and forfeit of my bond. My deeds upon my head. Remember the crowd baying for blood outside Pilate's palace? Let his blood be on us and on our children. Look, Portia's mercy speech is unarguable. Most of it could have come straight from my Venetian rabbi. Her mistake is expecting Shylock to see the world through Christian eyes. Look, Shylock's case is that he has the law, strict Venetian law, on his side. But his own law, Jewish law, forbids the shedding of blood except in self-defense. So had Portia merely appealed to him as a Jew, she would have no reason to carry on with this elaborate trap. Why then, thus it is, he must prepare his bosom for the knife. Aye, his breast, so says the bond, doth it not, noble judge? Nearest his heart, those are the very words. It is so. Are there balance here to weigh the flesh? I have them ready. Have by some servant, Shylock, on your charge to stop his wounds, lest he do bleed to death. Is it so nominate in the bond? It is not so expressed, but what of that? To could you do so much for charity? I cannot find it. 'Tis not in the bond. We trifle time. I pray thee, pursue sentence. A pound of that same merchant's flesh is thine. The court awards it, and the law doth give it. Most rightful judge, and you must cut this flesh from off his breast. The law allows it, and the court awards it. Most learned judge, a sentence. Come, prepare. Tarry a little, there is something else. Oh, there most certainly is. Antonio is about to lose his life on the word of a young woman impersonating a young man, impersonating a young lawyer. Originally, of course, it would have been a young boy impersonating a young woman, impersonating a young man, impersonating a young lawyer. Not only that, she has furnished the court with falsified letters of introduction, claiming to be qualified. She's told the Duke a pack of lies, and she's married to the defendant's best friend. But let's not get into that. Tarry little, there is something else. This bond doth give thee here no jot of blood. The words expressly are a pound of flesh. Take thou thy bond, take thou thy pound of flesh, but in the cutting it, if thou dost shed one drop of Christian blood, thy lands and goods are by the laws of Venice confiscate unto the state of Venice. Is that the law? Thyself shall see the act. For as thou urgest justice, be assured thou shalt have justice more than thou desirest. I'll take this offer then. Pay the bond thrice and let the Christian go. Soft. The Jew shall have all justice. Soft. No haste. He shall have nothing but the penalty. Therefore prepare thee to cut off the flesh. Shed thou no blood, nor cutt'st thou less nor more, but just a pound of flesh. If thou takes more or less than a just pound, be it so much as makes it light or heavy in the substance, or the division of the 20th part of one poor scruple. Nay, if the scale do turn but in the estimation of a hair, thou diest, and all thy goods are confiscate. Why doth the Jew pause? Take thy forfeiture. Give me my principal, and let me go. Thou hast refused it in the open court. Thou shalt have merely justice and my bond. Shall I not have barely my principal? Thou shalt have nothing but the forfeiture. To be so taken at thy peril, Jew. Well, then the devil give him good of it. I'll stay no longer question. Tarry, Jew, the law hath yet another hold on you. It is enacted in the laws of Venice, if it be proved against an alien that by direct or indirect attempt he seek the life of any citizen, the party against the which he doth contrive shall seize 1/2 his goods. The other half comes to the privy coffer of the state, and the offender's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only, against all other voice. In which predicament, I say thou standst. Down, therefore, and beg mercy of the Duke. Down, therefore, and beg mercy of the Duke? Whatever happened to the quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth the gentle rain from heaven. Shylock has no choice. He kneels before the Duke. That thou shalt see the difference of our spirit. I pardon thee thy life before thou ask it. For half thy wealth, it is Antonio's. The other half comes to the general state, which humbleness may drive unto a fine. Nay, take my life and all, pardon not that. You take my house when you do take the prop which does sustain my house. You take my life when you do take the means whereby I live. What mercy can you render him, Antonio? So please my lord, the judge, and all the court, to quit the fine for 1/2 his goods, I am content. So he will let me have the other half in use to render it upon his death unto the gentleman that sold his daughter. 2 things provided more. For this favour, he presently become a Christian. The other, that he bequeath a gift, here in the court, of all he dies possessed, to his son Lorenzo and his daughter. Art thou contented, Jew? What dost thou say? I am content. Clerk, draw a deed of gift. I pray thee, give me leave to go from hence. I am not well. Send the deed after me, and I will sign it. Get thee gone. But do it. Exit Shylock. And that is the end of Shylock's story. And that is the end of Tubal's story. Without a Shylock, there's no need of a Tubal. Don't worry, I don't have ideas above my station. My role is crucial, but purely functional. I know that. But like life, the play goes on without us. But where is Shylock? He said, I am not well. Is he sick? Look, he's agreed to sign, agreed to convert, agreed to become a Christian. He said so. Hey, he's still got half his money, half a loaf. He can do what he likes with it. Save it, spend it, invest it, lend it out at 10%. No, maybe not, huh? Do you know he doesn't have to stay in Venice anymore? He can leave the city. He can leave the ghetto. He can get out of Italy. He can get a new job now he's become a Christian. No more usuring. He can leave it all behind. Leave me behind. Do you know he should go to Belmont? Make it up with little Jessica. She's all he's got left. All he's got left of his beloved Leah. Shylock. Shylock. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. I should never have told you how Jessica had parted with your ring, your betrothal ring, the ring you had of your beloved Leah. And for a monkey, you need never, ever have known. Thou torturest me, Jubal! It was my turquoise. I had it of Leah when I was a bachelor. I would not have given it for a wilderness of monkeys. I pray you, give me leave to go from hence.
The incredible Guy Masterson, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask Ambassador Satish Mehta, Director General ICCR, and Rob Lyons, Director British Council, just present a bouquet of flowers to this incredible performer, in spite of the lighting.
Well done. Apologies for the lighting. Who knows what goes wrong with computers? We rely on them so much and then suddenly they fail you half an hour before a show. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guy, for coming back to India and providing us this incredible show. Oh, you have to see, because of the lighting, you have 2 bouquets. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the delay. We will start the next production in 15 minutes. Should any of you wish to see it, because we started the last production a little late, please do see the box office and they will give you tickets. Thank you. Good night.
Please stay, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you it's an extraordinary performance. Thank you so much.